Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Those who have joined us, I'm sure people will join us as we continue this broadcast. Thank you for the panel to help us with this session. I'm gonna go quickly over who's here and a little bit of background. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna use my notes here because I can't remember everything. So we're gonna start with Lynn Donnelly. She's in our Waynesville office, and she has 35 years of experience in the business. She's with the Real Team, and she's a Platinum Club member and a team leader. Her hobbies: Lynn sings with her church choir, community choirs, and appears in as many of the Heart Theater plays and musical as possible. She's also an actor, so she's awesome. Marlene Dickinson, her partner right there in the red, 15 years of experience, Hall of Fame 2019, Platinum Club, and also she's designation GRI and CLHMS. What's that for? Tell me how important you are, man. That's a lot of CLHMS. What is that for? What is, Marlene, what does CLMS mean?
Luxury Home Marketing Council.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
I'm just guessing. That's a guess.
Okay, all right. Hobbies: she enjoys cooking, gardening, reading, traveling, and spending time with her husband, their daughters, and their families, and their golden retriever Harley. Next, we got Debbie, our own Debbie Maxwell, South Park office, Maxwell House Group. Great name. 16 years of experience, Chairman Club recipient in 2019, team leader, and she has several designations: 5-star ABR, CLHMS, CRS, EPRO, SFR. That's a lot of designations. And she focuses on relocation and residential sales. Hobbies: cooking and sports. Next, Mr. Tim Rohan, our in-house coach, and she's in our South Park office, 29 years of experience. He's been with RE/MAX since 1994, guys, over 20 years, or 25 years. So he's a Platinum Club recipient in 2019. And what he loves most about being a real estate agent is the relationship he builds. And he's got a CDPE designation. And last but not least, Rafi Williams, the man of Spartanburg. Before we moved to Spartanburg, I find out about Rafi. Apparently, everybody knows Rafi in Spartanburg. So we are very proud and happy to have him in our team. He's been in the business for 32 years, born and raised in Spartanburg, very few of them. Platinum Club team leader, and he's got a CRS and GRI designation, and he also focuses on relocation clients and residential. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna start asking questions, and I really don't have any order who can answer, so jump in if you feel comfortable. All of you are consistently ranked within the top agents in our firm. If you could contribute your success to one thing, what would it be? And Tim, you can start since you're on top of my screen on the left.
Okay, I would say consistent hard work and great customer service.
That's good. Rafi?
Yeah.
Same thing. You stay with your people, you stay in contact with your people. I started out doing geographical farming. I do now sphere of influence farming, and that's where I see a lot of my people come back to me. It's kind of like it's not who you remember first, but who you remember last. So I try and be out there in front of them.
Good answer. Marlene?
Yeah, well, as far as the team goes, we really feel that we created a brand and that we've stuck with our brand, and it's been 15 years. And so we are recognized, and we feel that that really makes a difference for us.
Right.
Anything to add, Lynn, to your team?
I think the brand is what has kept us going.
Mhm.
No, that's good to know. That's what I think. The brand is very important to me. And how about you? The last but not least, Debbie.
Totally relationship. It's the belly to belly, belly button to belly button relationships. That's just how it is. During COVID, during all of this, everything that I did was, repeat business and referral business from my sphere. So they've kept me busy, and they've kept me in business. So I definitely love on them as much as possible.
Well, I'm going to stay with you. That what is your unique value proposition to your clients? If you have to say one thing that is really important.
Probably the most important thing is communication, in my opinion. And they know that I will answer my phone. They know that I will get back to them, and I think that's key in building a relationship. And they know they can always count on you. So trust is huge. It's probably the biggest thing. But communication, you just have to do that.
Rafi, Lynn, anybody wants to come in, because I like everybody's
I think one of the things that sets us apart from maybe other teams or people is our four very distinct personalities and what we each individually bring to the table. Jolene has kind of an old-fashioned, wonderful approach with her telephone skills. I bring kind of a hard-edged negotiating skill. Marlon will bring a very calm approach and a wonderful calm approach to things, and Molly brings a youthful exuberance and tremendous marketing and technology skills. So each of us brings a very distinct skill set to the table, and I think that can set us apart from maybe other people.
Yeah.
Me? Who'd you say?
Yes, please.
Oh, communication and trust are big for me.
Yeah, you keep mentioning communication. Can you elaborate on that a little bit as far as what you exactly mean by communication?
Well, several things. That it's not just during the transaction, but after the transaction. It seems like a lot of them always have questions. Afterwards they'll need a vendor or something like that. And I tell agents that I mentor. Don't put your list of vendors on your website. First of all, there is a daily change, but you want to be the person that they call for everything. And that keeps that communication flowing. And you also want to be sure that you have somebody for them and you respond to them promptly if you don't answer your phone right away. So they talk about, that to me, it's important is what they say, that it's just nice to be able to just call me for anything. So, and then because of that, if I never reached out to them with from your friends or any of that type of marketing, or had any of my events, they would think of me because we're constantly talking, for vendors, or they want to add a kitchen and they want my opinion, and maybe I'll go visit and see, give them some suggestions. And it's just it's more, they're more like family and friends than clients.
I think that's very important. When I was selling real estate, they would call me for anything. They wanted a guy that installed carpet, replaced the roof, whatever. And that's something that we all have to be. We are a full-time consultant, 24/7.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, you do a lot of coaching to different people across the country.
Yes.
And what do you find that is the secret of the most successful people that you coach that are different than the rest of everybody else?
Well, I guess it goes back to the first thing. It's the absolute consistency. You can't do it 1 week, then take the next week off, and then do it a couple days after that, take another week off. Because if you're not consistently lead generating, you're also not consistently doing lead follow-up and not consistently reaching out to your database, which is critical. So I think if to sum it up, I think the difference is, and they immerse, I teach the Mike Ferry system, and they immerse themselves in the system. How much can I learn? Right? And they're willing to accept the fact that they're going to get a lot of rejection, but they're going to make a lot of money. So the sooner they can get over that, the easier it'll be for them going future. I try and teach them that they get paid for the no's.
Now, Rappy, you're in a kind of a unique market, and Spartanburg, obviously, 20 years ago was not on the map. And then the BMW and Michelin came in, and that kind of helped that Greenville, Spartanburg area. I really didn't realize there was a real huge difference between Spartanburg and Greenville as far as the market. And what is the most important thing that you're doing, first of all, to be consistent, because you're very successful and you're one of the top agents in your market, and it's a small market compared to Charlotte. So what is your secret of being successful?
Well, you said the Greenville market is more money, and it has really been a big boom for us because the Greenville market is probably 30% of my business where people go to Greenville, want to buy, can't afford it, come to Spartanburg. So a Greenville agent sells it, and then he dumps those people off, and then all of a sudden they're mine with communications. And anyway, so when they move again, if they move again, get a good portion of that business just because I've stayed in touch with them. Another point to that is too, we get a lot of turnover as far as agents, as we do everywhere. And those agents that sold properties that I have, I will just put those people on a mailing list and keep those in part of my farm list, because agents come and go, and a lot of times they don't have an agent after 3 years, 2 years. So it's a good way to have instant credibility because you've already met them at a closing table and you know them. And so when I say you know them, you know something about them, you have a house in common. And I found that you get a lot of business from those people when their agent disappears.
Now, Lynn and Marlon, you are about the same market. You got Asheville up the street from you or down the street from you, and you're in Waynesville. Again, same thing. I didn't know Waynesville existed until I went into Asheville. And now I tell everybody it's one of my favorite offices there. Beautiful, beautiful town. And one of my friends, Remax owner in Florida, always goes there. He vacations for 2 weeks. He gets a house in the lakefront, and he gets his grandkids. And he sent me a picture yesterday standing in front of our office. He said, "Guess where I am?" You know, and so, and they're a large office. They have like 12 offices in Florida, and one of the largest Remaxes there. And so, tell us a little bit about how because I think it's very unique. Last time I checked, Waynesville's population was 10,000 or something like that. So, and you guys are doing awesome. I mean, that office is amazing. They're doing 4 times as much business than Asheville. So, and I don't get it.
Yep, but we find, especially now, that people are coming to Waynesville. They start in Asheville looking, and all of a sudden they find Waynesville, and they fall in love because we're close enough to Asheville. You can get in there in a half an hour. And so we really are getting a lot of people that started in Asheville, and then they find Waynesville. They also find that they get more value in Waynesville, at least at this point, than in Asheville. So price point does make a difference too. And sometimes that's how it introduces people to Waynesville, is that can't find what they're looking for in Asheville and the price point. So they come to Waynesville, and then they see the town and they fall in love, and we have them. The other, I'm sorry, but the other thing right now is with the COVID, that so many people consider us a safe haven. And so that has really made a difference good or bad, in Waynesville and Haywood County for sure.
It's so much less densely populated, and you can get a house here that where you don't see other houses, and you feel very safe. So
Now, the next question that I have is basically about the changes that's taking place in real estate. I mean, we all been in the real estate business for a long time. When I started, I used to pick up a book at the board, and every 2 weeks there was a book came out, and I used to tear up the pages kind of that I wanted to show, and we used to press hard on the contract, and it was copy, you know, a pink, a yellow, and a white, you know. Today, I don't want to even talk about how many pieces of paper we got to fill
Don't
out.
forget the map book, Hadi.
Yeah. I wish
Well,
I kept one of those MLS books. It'd be antique by now. But anyway, so it's, you know, our business has evolved. And one of the things, I love this business. If you were on the call with Adam, we talked about, you know, you got to love what you do. You got to have a passion for this business because it's not easy. And you got to love it because you're not going to survive. The successful people in this business love what they do. They love helping people. And every time you move a family, you help a family, just how many people can do that? Seriously. So the real estate business has evolved. And so I like to hear everyone's, I guess, thoughts as how did you handle the changes? Or how are you handling the changes? Because, you know, we all as human hate change. Agents, real estate agents are the worst. They don't want to change anything. They're used to doing something. And, you know, with today's technology, it's not going to replace us, but we got to use it. So are you guys adapting to those changes? And if so, how are you doing it? And what are the challenges? Anybody can start.
I'll start. I've found that hiring and having young people, much younger than me, around me, that knows technology makes me do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't change. So I try and go to people that are young and say, hey, help me do this. And they're like, okay.
well, when I got into real estate, it's hard to believe that interest rates were 18%. And I thought that was normal because that's what it was. And I remember somebody being so happy that they could refinance their house at 10%. So I have really seen the gamut. And I was the very first person in my real estate office to have a cell phone. It was gigantic. It was the size of a telephone book today. And so I have really seen a lot of changes, but I like change.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Yeah, and we like technology, so we embrace it.
Yeah.
We're the first people out there to get every app,
Yeah.
we're suckers. I mean, they come into our office and say, do you want this? And we go, yes, we want it all. So we like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we really do embrace it. We like it.
I think the more it changes, the more it stays the same. I mean, the bottom line is they're looking for value, right? They're looking for the service and what's going to differentiate you versus someone else. I mean, when you asked about the value proposition before, what is value to a seller? Can you put more money in my pocket? What is value to a buyer? Can you make sure I don't make a mistake? Right? And if you come across that, you know those things, and you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can get them more by knowing what is your list price to sales price versus the MLS list price to sales price. What is your days on the market versus the MLS days on the market? And when you do that, you can prove statistically that by hiring you, they put more money in their pocket, even if they're competing with someone for 1% more or 2% more. You can demonstrate that they'll still net more. And in terms of the buyers, you know, I'm looking at this purchase as my future listing. And so I may talk you out of more houses than I'll talk you into because I want to make sure you don't make a mistake. In 30 years, I've never had to sit in front of somebody and said, we made a mistake when we bought this, and I'm not going to start with you. And they see value in that and they buy into that. And that was the same in the 90s as it is today.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
planting that seed, Tim, that, I do the same thing with my buyers, and I tell them, I'm going to caution you, because when I go to sell it for you, when you're ready to sell it, I want to be able to tell you that you're going to make some money on this house and you're not going to have a difficult time selling it. And that really plants a seed, to keep them, oh yeah, well, that's who I'm going to call when I'm, you know what I mean? Even they may not think it at the time, but that does help. Crazy situation. I have a seller right now who bought the property from me. It was in front of a bunch of Duke Energy lines in Dilworth. It was it's just a crazy place. Anyway, yeah, they bought it despite my caution that you're on a main road here and you've got this power. We're going to have a difficult time selling it, but just think that over. Let me tell you some options to remedy this, planting some trees, evergreens, that kind of thing. And speaking to Duke Energy to get this kind of walled up for you. Well, they did the walling of the Duke Energy thing, put it under on coming soon last week before. I had offers before we even made it active, and they were, I never would have thought it in a million years, because they actually pursued what I said they needed to. So the things that the value that we bring them, is tremendous. And once they see that, they're clients for life, I think.
I think one of the most important things you said was the fact that one day they're going to call you and say, hey, we want to list our house, we want to buy a bigger house, smaller house, and you better be able to sell that house.
Right.
And they better have some equity, because that's the way I sold real estate. I actually convinced many of my buyers not to buy a particular house that they were in love with.
Right.
And they thought I was crazy. I mean, but I really did, because I always thought about the day that they're going to call me to list this house. And I don't want to, okay, oh my gosh, I got to sell this house. And I think that is something that we all have to understand. We shouldn't be just thinking about, okay, getting the deal done. We are not car salesmen. We are selling the most valuable asset to an individual. So we have to be beyond just making a quick commission. I think that is huge. And I honestly believe, I've been in Charlotte for over 30 years, and I've done nothing except being in the real estate industry. So it's not like I came from the corporate industry or I did this. I graduated from college, I got an MBA, but I couldn't get a job. Back in the 80s, when the interest rate is 14, 15%. So real estate is the bread and butter. That's all I've done. But that was number one rule. Always think about that client is coming back to you to sell that house. It might be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now, they might, and if you do a lousy job, you're not going to get them back ever again. And communication, get in touch with them. Don't just sell them a house and go away forever. Keep in touch. Anyway, now we talked about the changes that's taken place in real estate in our industry. Can you talk to me a little bit about what changes do you see in your clients? Obviously, people have changed. They didn't have access to Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin. Everybody goes online and check for houses. They can see everything. So tell me, what do you see changes in your clients, if any? Anyway.
I think they're far more demanding than they've ever been before. And I think it's because they're more educated than they've ever been before. Now, whether that education is a good, accurate, whether what they know is right or wrong, they think they know more. So they can be a little bit more difficult, a lot more difficult. And I think they expect you to be more available than they used to.
Exactly. They want you 24/7, and that's so true. The other thing is, a lot of times they feel like they know so much more than they really do, and you can really bring value to them as you start going through transactions, help guide them through it. But with the Zillow and everything that they've got online, like you said, they really feel like they know a lot more than they do. And once they get into it, they realize that they really need our help and really appreciate as we guide them through. So, yeah, definitely agree.
And in the old days, the customer had to come to you, you know, and now you have to find your way to them.
Yeah. Right, you know, where you had the books and they didn't know what was on the market.
They didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And now we have to find our way to them.
Right, you know, so many times they come to you with a list of the homes that they've picked out that they like. And that's another good thing, because as you get to work with them and see what they really like, you know, you can put them in the direction they need to go. But yeah.
I think buyers may know more on the technology in the house with Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, but I don't think people know as much about a house as they used to know, the bones of a house, what kind of flowers are in it, just certain features about a home. And if you can share that with them, they're like, oh, really? I didn't. Okay. So you can kind of express that you know something about the house that Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, nobody knows. So I find that I'm familiar with plants. And you tell them, well, those are, I don't know, it's some kind of a rhododendron or something like that. Like, oh, really? I didn't know that. My grandmother had those in her yard. And you're like, yeah, well, that's what those are. And oh, really? And then they start asking you more and more questions. The next thing you know is, do you have a landscaper? Do you have a painter? Yeah, I got that. So it's a lead in. And I think that the more you know, in today's market, most newer agents do not know about construction, design of homes and landscaping. And it really shines through to agents of experience like ourselves. So I really encourage people to go out and gain as much knowledge as you can about construction, landscape, and design. I mean, it's crucial when you can tell somebody something that they think they know, but yours is actually right, because they got theirs off the web.
I think that's key, what Rappy just said. You know, what you tell them is right. What I coach agents to future pace your client, right? Tell them this is what's getting ready to happen. And then when it happens, then you build credibility. You make a deposit in the credibility bank. And so once you build that up, then they have faith in you that you know what's going on. And so, but in terms of the access to the information, you can't BS it anymore, because they just took whatever we told them because there was no way to find out any differently. So, you know, I tell agents, listen, they're looking for a market expert. Do you know how many homes sold in your market last week? You know, and it's amazing how few do, right? Do you know how much inventory is on the market? Do you know, right? What do you know, right? So you have to know that information to bring value, and it's amazing how many people don't. But yeah, but I agree with that. Just tell them what's getting ready to happen all the way through, and when it happens exactly like you said, then they clue in pretty quickly that, hey, I can just have this guy tell me what's going to happen, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So I think that is, and in terms of the more demanding, I agree a lot of them are, but the beauty of most of us is that those that generate don't have to tolerate. And so if someone is a pain in the rear end on the way in, they're going to be a pain in the rear end all the way through. So hasta luego, right? So, but we teach people how to treat us, right? This is when I'm available. Oh, well, I want to do that then. Oh, you know, I wish I could. I'm booked solid. It doesn't matter if I'm playing golf or watching a ball game, I'm booked, right? And so we teach people how to treat us, and if we're doing our job, they'll respect that.
I think taking control is the magic word. You got to take control of the clients. Your clients cannot take control of you. You are the expert. Even though they come up with a list of houses they want to look at, you might eliminate a lot of them because you know exactly why they shouldn't be buying this house, because you already know what they should buy. You've sat down with the husband, you've sat down with the wife, you took a list of the important things. And this is what I think real estate hasn't changed in 30 years. It has not. I remember I would never, ever go and pick somebody up. I would tell them to meet me at my office. I sit down and make a list. Okay, what's the most important thing for you, Mr. Jones? What's the most important thing for you, Mrs. Jones? And then try to cross-reference and come up with the top 5 things that's important to both of them. And I remember, and I'll tell you this story because it's important. What you guys were talking about is, I wanted to do new construction. And Rafi was talking about, you got to know about construction. You got to know about the landscaping. You got to know about a little bit about everything. Jack of all trades, a master of none, pretty much. But I wanted to do new construction because I didn't have inspection. I didn't mess around with that thing, you know. So I went and got my contractor's license back in 1988. And I became a general contractor. Now, I couldn't afford to build a house. I couldn't afford, but I did have that. So every morning, early, I would go to some job site that some other agent had the listings. And I would be walking through the house at 7:30 in the morning. And the builder usually comes in to check on his house and contractors. And he would see me. Can I help you? Oh, yeah, I'm just previewing the house for a client of mine. Give him my card. How many realtors get up at 7:30 in the morning and go and check or preview a house for a client? Not many. So I ended up being in Charlotte, the guy that knew all the new construction coming up in the 80s, you know, in the 88, 90s, you know. And so we all have to have speciality. I mean, we gotta have something that we can offer the client. And that takes me to our next question, that what is it that keeps you guys on the top? Now, with this pandemic, which has been going on for the past few months, it's changed everybody's life. And I was just talking to one of our team leaders, and he said that he's done, I think he did last year, the whole year, he did $68 million. He said he's already reached that number this year. And we're not talking about a bunch of team. I mean, he's got about 4 people in his team. So I want to know, what is it that you guys have done or changed doing that you still are managing to have your business? Anybody wants to start?
Are you talking about this year?
Yes, after this pandemic started, how has it affected your business, and how do you handle it? How do you still keep going? And you know, we got several things that's really hurting us right now.
Sure.
Lack of inventory.
Well, I think for me, you know, I try and keep them engaged, and something similar to what we did back in 08. When you think the world's caving in, look for evidence of success every day. So what I had the agents do is every week they had to send me a report of how many houses were listed in their market last week and how many houses were pending that past week. I didn't care about what closed, whatever. So you could see that, you know what, hey, things are getting done. And so the market doesn't dictate the results that we get. It just dictates what we have to do to get the results that we want.
Well, one of the things that we decided to do was to call our customers, our sphere, and we have a huge database of people, and we called people every day, and what we called them care calls, and it was a simple call, and we just said, how are you doing? How are you doing? Is there something I can do for you? Can I go grocery shopping for you? We work with a lot of elderly people. We're kind of elderly, but you don't have to say that. And said, can we shop for you? Can we do anything for you? Just how are you doing? It was a simple call, and it reaped so many rewards. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And financially, yes, but also personally. And it was an amazingly successful thing to do in a lot of ways.
Right.
And I think it was probably when the COVID for us was very successful, actually, time for us.
Yeah.
People, I think, during COVID had a time to reflect on their lives, and some people made huge changes, actually, and made big decisions about their lives. And those care calls that we made every single day made a huge difference, and I think we're going to continue them.
No, we definitely will.
Yeah, and just how are you doing? What's new in your life? How are your kids? How's your dog? How are your flowers?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how easy that is to do. You don't have to ask them for business. You don't have to talk about real estate even.
You know, people really appreciated the calls. And, you know, some of them we hadn't talked to in quite a while. And
We had to remind them who we were.
yeah, right. but they truly appreciated it. And we've heard from many of them again. And you know, referrals from some of them too, you know, that they've got friends now that want to move here. And so it's good to keep people, like everyone was saying, you know, in the top of their mind. Really,
That's great with the care calls, you know, because they say that they don't care what you think until they know how much you care, right? They don't care what you have to say until they know how much you care. So those are absolutely fruitful calls.
yeah.
I agree 100%.
It is going back to basics. Pick up the phone, call somebody.
I agree, and I did the same. I started out doing that, and then I was talking to several of the people would say that they were kind of getting a little depressed, and so I decided to make it my daily mission to, I moved everything over to social media, and I did a daily coronavirus tip. And it was just a silly little tip, you know, clean out your laundry closet, have the, sorry about that, have the garage door serviced, you know, you can distance yourself and do that, and just all these things. And I did like a happy hour with my husband in different bar hopping in different rooms in the house and things like that. And
Great idea.
I got so many text messages and private messages thanking me for giving them some positivity, because everybody else was just all arguing about the virus and, you know, whether it was real and whether it was not and all that stuff. And it was more of the lighter side of life, I guess, is what I decided to do. And so it worked.
Good idea.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I used the first app that you guys introduced, and with that app, I just basically went in there and said, hey, just checking in with you. It's some really crazy times right now. But I wanted to share with you some good news. Finance rates are at an all-time low, and you may want to consider refinancing right now, because we are seeing rates incredibly low, and the housing market is at an all-time high. And just with that piece of information and some information about lenders and stuff like that, people have called me, text me, emailed me, and thanked me for like, wow, I just reduced my 30-year mortgage to 15 years. I'm paying $100 more a month. Thrilled out of my mind. Thank you for that. And of course, we've gotten leads too, so I can get out of my house now. Sure, you can. So just sending out that email through the first and just pulling up contacts, qualifying them and sending it out has been huge.
Good.
A lot of buyers out of it as well.
I think, you know, I've been in this business for a long time. You know, we had the September 11, the 2008, and this one. This one is weird because it's not really, we can't see what it is. You know, it's not financial, it's not terrorism, it's just a weird thing. And I was in denial, you know, in the beginning, you know, and I'm not somebody that quits. But then the more I find out about it, I find out it's real. But then I had to come up with a solution. You know, you cannot just shut the doors and say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just go out. And that is what you guys brought up, which is all common. Get in touch with the people. Even though you're sitting at home, call them. How you doing? And I think that is what a lot of us didn't do. A lot of us did not do that. And I think that's where we have agents that are doing 40% more business than they did last year this time, and those are 40% less. Because during that 8 weeks that we were shut down, they just sat at home and I don't know what they did. And that is what the difference is. And it's not very different in a normal time. You got to communicate with your agents. With your clients. So that's the difference. I think that's a huge thing. It goes back to communication. And I think that is a good point that everyone that's on this call have to listen to. Communicate with your clients.
Who shut down? I missed that.
Go ahead.
Who shut down? I missed that one. I was here every day. Yeah.
Anyway, so going on to the next question, or I'm wondering, and I had this question asked from Adam. I asked that question from Nick Bailey this morning. We are halfway through the year. And what is your goal for the next 6 months, 5.5 months, whatever we got left? How do you see you're going to move on with your business? Now, again, I look at the company-wide. Company-wide, we were up first quarter, way up. And then all of a sudden, the second quarter, we were down, but we weren't down to the point that we weren't even with last year. We are still up about 5% compared to last year. My goal was to be up before this Corona thing come up by 10%. So I'm sticking to my gun that we're gonna be up by 10% of what we did last year. So, and we're gonna do different things, and most of it is gonna be communicating and mentoring our agents. That's why we have these classes going on right now for those that are falling behind. So this is what I'm planning to do, constantly reminding agents what they gotta do to go back to the basics. So what are your guys, I'd like to hear your game plan for the next 5-6 months as far as your business is concerned.
Well, for me, Mike Ferry always says that any agent in the country, they do 70% of their business in 2 quarters of the year. Doesn't matter where they are. It may be different quarters for someone else depending on the market and if, the season. But every agent does 70% of their business in 2 quarters. And so given everything that's gone on with the pandemic and everything else, all indications are for just about everybody in the country, it's going to be these next 2 quarters. So it doesn't matter where we are, just be prepared and put the work in to go, guns a-blazing for the next 2 quarters, and the business will be there at the end of the year. But as you see, a common theme with everybody that's here is that we all have established pretty decent databases, and we stay in touch with them. And there's a direct correlation between the inventory level and the percentage of your business that will come from your database. So I've found that agents that have been in the business 10, 15 years, they're used to going after expired listings and for sale by owners and those type of things. They're hurting because they don't have a database. And there's a direct correlation. It used to be about 30% of your business was database as a general rule. But when you have 1.4 months of inventory, it's going to be about 70 to 80% of your business is going to be coming from your database. So do you have one? Are you building it? Do you know how to build it and work it?
Rafi?
Well, I agree with everything he says. It's the same thing. You have a database and use it. And right now, with the technology we have, that's where you do your farming. Simple.
I so agree with what Tim is saying. And I remember when I was very new in real estate and I was interviewing with RE/MAX, I didn't work with them at the time because I was too new and I needed a lot more. But he said to me something very wise that I kept with me forever, which was, who would you rather buy a house from, a friend that you know or a stranger? And I said, well, a friend that I know. And to a new agent, you have lots of friends. That's your sphere of influence. That's who you start with. You start with your friends, and you have a lot of friends. That's your sphere of influence. You've got a database. You just don't use it. Right. So you've got a database. Use it. You've got a dry cleaner. You've got a minister. You've got a synagogue. You've got lots of people you do business with. Wear your badge and tell people every day you're in real estate. You've got a database. You're not brave enough to use it. So yeah, and boy, that was a wise guy, and he's now a multimillionaire. And there's a lot of RE/MAX offices.
Is that
Dan,
Hadi?
what are
What
your
about Hadi?
for the rest of the year?
What, Hadi, what did
I
you say?
said, what are your goals for the rest of the year, your plans?
I set them early. I set them fourth quarter of last year, and I don't think I tweaked them this much during the recession. It's just been so like you kind of need to. You really do have to be flexible, and you really you can't mind change in this business. You have to just adapt. And I think that early adapters, like Lynn was talking about with technology, it's huge. And it's the same with your business plan. If you have to tweak it, you don't just write it, the year before and just live by it the next year. It never goes that way. So I just think staying on top of your plan and making adjustments is necessary.
Well, that's so true. We meet, early on in the year, sit down, review what we did the year prior, and make adjustments and set up our business plan. And then every quarter, try to sit down, see where we are, where we have to make changes. I totally agree with what you're saying.
Now, how did you, we're talking about adoption, changes taking place. And again, if you were on the call that I had with Adam, we were talking about social media and talking about videos and the power of video. And I know you guys well enough to know you don't do a lot of videos, but you're still successful. So have you thought about that? And if so, what are your thoughts? Because we got to do something about that in the sooner the better. And
Hey,
so
I hired a great videographer. He does all of my tours for me. It's a walkthrough tour. I don't have to be on the camera. I'm good with that.
that's fine. That's fine. But that's what I want everybody to just kind of share with me your thoughts on that. Some of you might say, I hate XYZ. He is always on, nobody's got more video going on than Adam. He's got his 100th episode going on. But it worked. I mean, RE/MAX from 100,000 agents went up to 137,000 agents in 2 years. Okay?
Impressive.
So, and if you watch his videos on the daily thing, start with the win that he starts it every day at 5:30 in the morning at Denver time. A lot of great points. I can't watch it live every day, but I try to be on them. And I think that's what we got to think about. You're talking about communication. I'm not talking about talking to strangers, even though people are doing that. That's creating more clients. It's going in there and talk to your friends, and I think, listen, I didn't do a video until a year and a half ago. Adam kind of not forced me, but we did one together when we were in Hawaii, during the conference thing we had. And actually, I did a video standing there with the background, the Hawaii host. We're trying to recruit this big team. And I said, hey, you could be here, something like that. And Adam says that, yeah, you need to do this and whatever. So that was my first video that I did with Adam. And so I think, and we sent it to this guy, so this is where the power of video. So I want to get everybody's opinion about that. And how can you, I know that Deb said that she's got somebody that's doing it for her, which is fine. But you are the celebrity, and that's why I want to kind of challenge every one of you. Just your clients, they already know you. They already know what you look like. And so it's not like, oh my God, I can't do it. I can't do it. I couldn't do it either. The first video I did that in the office, you can ask Sarah, I think it was 25 takes before I did 1 minute of video with that boom town or what, and I was called boom bomb or whatever. I don't do that anymore. What you see is what you get, pretty much, And so that's the challenge that a lot of us have. You're not the only one. Probably 70% of realtors have that issue. So I want each one of you tell me, how do you think that could be tackled? If so, if it can. I know you're all successful, you are doing well. You don't necessarily need to do video, but we got to change. We got to come up with, social media is huge nowadays. So that's what my next question is. And Tim, you can start since
Do
you've
a
been with.
video about ourselves, about our properties.
Huh?
You want us to do a
I'm not
video?
talking about virtual tours. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you guys doing videos. I'm not talking about properties. Virtual tours, that's a
Well,
given.
For me, I have a face made for radio, Hadi, so the videos are going to instead of helping me. But from an agent standpoint, I think a lot of people start using that as a crutch, and they'll send out videos instead of what everybody on this panel does successfully, pick up the phone and call them. And so I'll give you an example. A great client in Orlando sells 100 houses a year, and he sends out one at least once a month, just a little 1.5. They're professionally done. He uses MailChimp, whatever. And he said, you're not going to believe this. I haven't gotten a response in like 4 months on those videos, but I just sent out a regular email from my CRM to everybody in my database, and I got 30 responses. So I think sometimes people it's a bit much sometimes for clients. Now, for you, it's a different end game. But for us, if it's to communicate with our clients, if there's something major, absolutely. But you got to be careful not to replace the touch that has made us successful.
That's what I want to hear. Go ahead.
I think that, and in fact, our new secretary, she is playing with this technology, and I am the guinea pig. That's right, Nika. I am the guinea pig that they're going to try this out on. So I am for it. Yeah, we all know what we looked like 30 years ago, but well, accept it. It is what it is.
I think Tim, to Tim's point about emailing, a lot of the people that I've got like different, my sphere is kind of divided into 3 different groups of current and past clients. Are those that are my Instagram clients, my millennials, and then I have my Facebook clients, mostly people my age, and then I have the email clients that are maybe a little older. And so I can totally see that people don't want to open up a video and email because people check their emails at work and they don't want to hear the sound on their computers. But I do agree that putting together some type of video and doing it on your social media page is a smart thing to do. That people go to social media and they know they're going to hear something, so they don't always do it at work. And a lot of my people that I'll see the flow on mine on what time people are on, it's like 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. So they're not at work, so they don't mind listening to a video. So I mean, I agree. I think that it needs to be done, and people know us and they would love to hear from us. But gosh, I watched I had a class yesterday, and the instructor said that a huge portion of realtors are actually introverts, and we may seem outgoing and we may seem like we could just talk to the wall, and we can, but it's only because we've pushed ourselves to get out of that comfort zone. And where our comfort zone is actually, inside and on the couch with a book or, something like that. But we have to put on this happy face of being out and being around everybody. Well, I think that's why we have so much trouble with videos, is because we just don't like that. We just don't like it. It's just uncomfortable for us.
And it's absolutely, I mean, I wouldn't have done a video 2 years ago if you made me. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, because I just can't stand seeing myself, to be honest with you. And I can't stand listening to myself either. But unfortunately, I had to adjust because I can't be everywhere. I have to be, sharing whatever it is that we're doing with everyone. And I thought that was the best way of doing it. Now, one of the things that I was going to ask you guys, I'm trying to stay with our time. I know you're all busy. Some of you guys have teams, some of you guys are individual. And I want you to tell me, how do you manage being a team? And is being a team more advantageous than when you were in an individual? And if so, how? Because I saw teams being the way of the future a while back. And I'm not talking about 20 people team. I'm talking about 2, 3 people and whatever you want to do. However, it's like people think I'm crazy having 13 offices. You know, why the hell do you have 13 offices? You know, you do fine just in Charlotte. No, it's not about that. It's about market share. It's about agents working together, referring somebody from Charlotte to Asheville, referring somebody from Asheville to, I don't know, Wilmington and so on, or somebody from Spartanburg to Waynesville. You know, that is working. I can see that happening. And we're not going to stop growing. If you don't grow, you're going to die. That's simple as that. You got to constantly grow and improve yourself. So having said that, I want you each to tell me a little bit about how you operate your business as a team, as an individual, and how do you manage it?
Well, you start.
Yeah. So, you know, I think our team obviously works very differently from probably any other team. Is most teams have a buyer agent, a seller agent, transaction person. We basically operate as 4 separate agents. However, when we have a listing, we have one point person that's the point person. Everyone knows about the listing and is involved in it, but there's a point person. Same with when you're working with a buyer, you're the one point person. Every once in a while, we'll be working with a buyer and realize their personality will mesh much better with one of our other partners, and we will make the change, and everybody's very happy with it. So we do operate totally differently. We share all income, we share all expenses. There's a lot of trust, and if there wasn't the trust that we all have, it would never work.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very equal. If you're not the kind of person who can share, you're not going to work in a team relationship like ours. It's so based on trust, and sometimes one of us will be packed up to our ears deal, and one will not. I just got an echo here, but anyway, and then other times, you know, another one will be totally busy and another one will not. The beauty of working in a team is obvious. You can go on vacations without guilt. You can have time with your family on weekends without guilt. You can pick up your kids at school without guilt. So that's the beauty of a team.
And we have a team phone, which we actually take month by month. We rotate it so that when you're have the phone, you know that you're a 24/7 person answering that phone and taking care of that business. So it also, you know, gives the other team members a little bit of a break from that.
And all the phone calls for the team come into that phone. And it's like you're on the floor.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how we work, and it's a great way to work for us.
For us, yeah. I mean, we've been doing it we've been 11 years, and I know people keep saying, "What? And you all still talk to one another?" You know, but we all get along really well, give and take. It's just been, you know, very successful.
How about you, Rafi? Tell us. I want to go down the line here.
Well, me, I've had the same assistant, and she's my buyer's agent for 22, 23 years. And she deals with mainly the buyers, and I deal with the listings. Of course, she does listings as well, and sometimes I work with buyers, but we work with each other. She's a godsend to me. I couldn't do without her. And she basically runs me as much as I run her. She runs me more than I run her. But it works, and we have a good relationship.
Tim, how do you run your team?
I don't run anything. Tammy runs my business.
There's
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
I delegate everything. I get everything to, she's my office manager. Right? Nothing happens unless it goes through Tammy. Don't even come talk, just go talk to Tammy and start there. I mean, I coach 32 agents all over the country, one in Canada. And so that's a 30-minute call every week. So that's 16 hours right there. And then still running my business. I just can't afford to get caught up in a lot of the other nonsense. So I've just learned to delegate everything. So unless there's something that I need to step in and handle quickly, I just do lead generation and go on appointments and coach other agents how to be successful. That's it.
So basically, you have somebody in the office that take care of your stuff, and you are out there with it. Yeah.
Yep.
So Deb, how do you do it?
I have an odd setup, but I have a full-time assistant, and then I have two others that help me, and they help me in different ways, either with showings or putting signs out or going to inspections with me or for me. It just all depends. It's where is needed. One of them works about 6 months out of the year. He's actually up in Waynesville right now. So they love it up there, and they just stay down here when they feel like it. So it's I'm always the point person, always. So we call ourselves the Maxwell House Group. We've all been together for years, and it just works. So and like action. Go ahead.
I was going to ask quickly each one of you, just if you had to give one advice to those that are struggling right now, those agents that are just struggling, what would that be? What should they do right now, starting today?
Pick up the phone. Call your people. Love on your people.
All right, that's a good advice.
Well, just like Lynn said earlier about what the advice she got when she first came to RE/MAX, right? Start with the people you know. People that come into the real estate coaching are like, well, I really don't have a database. I said, open your phone. How many contacts do you have? 352. All right, so let's start going through them. Start with the A's, and let's just start calling them. Who's in, who's out. There you go. Start with that. And then teach them how to add people to your database. Because not only is that repeat and referral business, that's the residual income like a lot of other industries have. But if you do it correctly, that's a saleable product when you're done. If you say, I've got a database of 1,000 people, I call them 4 times a year, this is what I say. I mail them 4 times a year, this is what I mail. And for the last 5 years consistently, this is the income that's generated for me. That's a saleable product. So start on that day one.
Rafi?
Consistent.
Go ahead.
You were talking about things to do to maintain and to keep things going. One of the things that I do, in addition to my farming of the neighborhood, is I have contacts that are, I'm going to say my top 5 contacts, and everybody has those. 5 people, 5 businesses that generate business. And I work those hard. There's property managers that do not have real estate agencies. They're just property managers. I deal with them. I make them look good. In turn, they're giving me listings. I've got lawn care services that'll call me and tell me, hey, this body's selling their house. Moving companies. Get to know somebody in the moving company business. And they can be a bird dog for you. If you don't get them all, I've got a painter. People want to come and get their house painted before they put it on the market. They tell them about me. My painter, my yard guys, my moving guys, they have my business cards. And so it's as much of a sphere of influence, if not greater in sometimes, than your whole list of contacts. So you got to work that side of the fence as well.
Lynn and Marlon?
If I had one thing to say to a new person, that's the most important thing to do that so many agents don't do, it would be to work 8 hours a day.
That's what I just, and be consistent at it. Yep.
Well, thank you guys. We are, Sarah, I'm sure is sitting there waiting. We're 5 minutes over. I was trying to finish this by 2 o'clock. So I really appreciate you guys giving us this time. I know you're all very busy, and I'm sure all those people on the line and watching us are very appreciative. This is going to be recorded, so those are not being able to make it today are going to be able to log in later and watch it. So thank you again, guys, and have a great rest of the, I guess, week. It's only one day.
Thank you.
See you.